Creepypastas, a genre of stories all about internet urban legends. Think of them like online campfire stories. One subgenre that I've always been interested in is the gaming creepypasta genre. Creepypastas that are all about creepy and haunted games. Of course, there are a lot of bad gaming creepypastas out there, but there are also a lot of good ones as well. And one of my personal favorite stories is the subject of today's video. And so on this spooky Halloween night, allow me to take you through the tale of Pale Luna, the scariest game that never even existed. To understand why it's the scariest game that never existed, you'll need to understand the story of Pale Luna itself. It's not that long of a story, only being around 6 minutes or so. Still, if you already know the story and want to get to the analysis, go ahead and skip to the time shown on screen. I'll also create chapters for convenience. Anyways, onto the story. In the last decade and a half, it's become infinitely easier to obtain exactly what you're looking for by way of a couple of keystrokes. The internet has made it all too simple to use a computer to change reality. An abundance of information is merely a search engine away, to the point where it's hard to imagine life as any different. Yet, a generation ago, when the words streaming and torrent were meaningless, save for conversations about water, people met face-to-face to conduct software swap parties, trading games and applications on Sharpie labeled 5¼ inch floppies. Of course, most of the time, the meets were a way for frugal, community-minded individuals to trade popular games like King's Quest and Maniac Mansion amongst themselves. However, a few early programming talents designed their own computer games to share amongst their circle of acquaintances, who in turn would pass them on, until, if fun and well-designed enough, an independently developed game had its place in the collection of aficionados across the country. Think of it like the 80s equivalent of a viral video. Pale Luna, on the other hand, was never circulated outside of the San Francisco Bay Area. All known copies have been long disposed of. All computers that have ever run the game are now detritus, buried underneath layers of filth and polyestrin. This fact is attributed to a number of rather abstruse design choices made by its programmer. Pale Luna was a text adventure in the vein of Zork and the Lurking Horror, at a time when said genre was swiftly going out of fashion. Upon booting the program, the player was presented with almost a completely blank screen, except for the text. You are in a dark room. Moonlight shines through the window. There is gold in the corner, along with a shovel and a rope. There is a door to the east. Command? So began a game that one writer for a long out-of-print fanzine decried as enigmatic, nonsensical, and completely unplayable, as the only commands that the game would accept were pick up gold, pick up shovel, pick up rope, open door, and go east. The player was soon presented with the following. Reap your reward. Pale Luna smiles at you. You are in a forest. There are paths to the north, west, and east. Command? What quickly infuriated the few who have played the game was the confusing and buggy nature of the second screen onward. Only one of the directional decisions would be the correct one. For example, on this occasion, a command to go in a direction other than north would lead to the system freezing, requiring the operator to hard reboot the entire computer. Furthermore, any subsequent screens seemed to merely repeat the above text, with the difference only being the directions available. Worse still, the standard text adventure commands appeared to be useless. The only accepted non-movement related prompts were use gold, which prompted the game to display the message, not here. Use shovel, which brought up, not now. And use rope, which prompted the text, you've already used this. Most who played the game progressed a couple screens into it before becoming fed up of having to constantly reboot their devices and tossing the disc in disgust, writing off the experience as a shoddily programmed farce. However, there is one thing about the world of computers that remains true, no matter the era. Some people who use them have way too much time on their hands. A young man by the name of Michael Nevins wanted to see if there was more to Pale Luna than what met the eye. 5 hours and 33 screens worth of trial and error and unplugged computer cords later, he finally managed to make the game display different text. The text in this new area read, Pale Luna smiles wide. There are no paths. Pale Luna smiles wide. The ground is soft. Pale Luna smiles wide. Here. Command? It was another hour still before Nevin stumbled upon the proper combination of phrases to make the game progress any further. Dig hole, drop gold, then fill hole. This caused the game to display Congratulations, 40.24248, negative 121.4434, upon which the game ceased to accept any commands, requiring the user to reboot one last time. After some deliberation, Nevins came to the conclusion that the numbers referred to lines of latitude and longitude, the coordinates leading to a point in the sprawling forest that dominated the nearby Lassen Volcanic Park. As he possessed more free time than sense, Nevins vowed to see Pale Luna through to its ending. The next day, armed with a map, a compass, and a shovel, he navigated the park's trails, noting with amusement how each turn he made corresponded roughly to those he took in-game. Though he initially regretted bringing the cumbersome digging tools on a mere hunch, the path similarities all but confirmed his suspicions that the journey would end with him face to face with an eccentric's buried treasure. Out of breath after a tricky stumble to the coordinates, he was pleasantly surprised by a literal stumble upon a patch of uneven dirt. Shoveling as excitedly as he was, it would be an understatement to say that he was taken aback when his heavy strokes unearthed the badly decomposing head of a blonde-haired little girl. Nevins promptly reported the situation to the authorities. The girl was identified as Karen Paulson, 11, reported as missing to the San Diego Police Department a year and a half prior. Efforts were made to track down the programmer of Pale Luna, but the nearly anonymous legal gray area in which the software swapping community operated inescapably led to many dead ends. Collectors have been known to offer upwards of 6 figures for an authentic copy of the game. The rest of Karen's body was never found. Now that we know the story of Pale Luna, we can analyze what makes it truly scary. One thing that sets Pale Luna apart from most other gaming creepypastas is its more mature storytelling. Where most creepypastas would opt for using a lot of swear words and mentions of gore and blood, Pale Luna keeps things simple, making it a more easy story to digest. Not only that, but the short length of the story makes it much easier to read casually. Another thing that really sets it apart is the fact that it had a really genuine twist to it. In the beginning, it just seemed like Pale Luna was nothing more than a poorly developed game made by somebody whose passion far exceeded their coding ability. However, because of the persistence of one person, its true secret was finally revealed to the world. I mean, we kind of expected it since, well, it's a creepypasta, so obviously there was going to be a horror element to it somewhere, but the setup and payoff for the story is much better than most. But by far the thing that really sets Pale Luna apart from other creepypastas is the air of plausibility around it. The story of Pale Luna takes place during the 80s, at a time when serial killers were on the rise. We have people like Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer, but the serial killer that I think Pale Luna draws most of its inspiration from is the Zodiac Killer. Although not around in the 80s, it's pretty clear that the story takes inspiration from him, since it's about cryptic clues hidden in a game that leads whoever plays it to the dead body. This seems like a pretty obvious parallel to the Zodiac Killer and his ways of using different ciphers. Considering this, it makes it seem like this was just another killer in the 80s who chose to hide their crimes inside of a game. It's not like games are shy of hiding stuff within them anyways. I mean, after all, the first ever Easter egg was something like this as well. So given this fact, it kinda seems plausible that Pale Luna could have been something that happened in real life. It didn't, but it sure as hell seems like it could. All of these factors combined together truly makes Pale Luna the scariest game that has never existed. I've been Osros, and thank you for watching. Out of breath after a tricky. The word is tricky. The girl was identified as Karen Paulson, 11, reported as missing to the San Diego Police Department. Jesus Christ.